guys, Rebecca here with Rebecca Newman Photography and Candy Color Clicks. I'm sitting here in my studio right now. As you can see, I've got a backdrop set up, I've got some lighting equipment set as well, and I'm going to go through that in just a little bit. But I just wanted to hop on and give a little tour of what I do in my studio, and then afterwards we're going to go out and about and do some on location as well. I get a lot of questions about what my favorite camera is, what my favorite lenses are, and so I figured I would do a little how-to and give you guys a tour of what I use the most often and what my go-tos are. So the lens that I have on right now is actually my 50mm lens. This is the main lens that I would use for portraits. It is very natural to the eye of what you would see when you look straight forward. So it's really nice for any kind of portrait where you just want it to look clean and just presenting what you see in front of you. So portrait lens, 50mm, good to go, at least for me. So this is my favorite lens. This is my 85 1.2, and it is the perfect headshot lens. It has the capability to keep everything crystal clear in your face when you're photographing headshots, but then blur out the rest of the background. So the focus is completely on the model. It gives really nice bokeh effects, really smooth, really nice, and this is just a really easy throw and go lens that is versatile for a lot of different things. So we'll go over this a little bit more in just a minute, but that is definitely my go-to lens. So the third lens that I always carry with me is my zoom lens, and this one is my 24 to 1:5, and it's great. I use it a lot for family sessions. The reason why it's so good is because you never know what kind of movement you're going to get out of kids, especially. They can be running around, getting farther away from you, getting closer to you, and instead of running around behind them, chasing them, it's nice to be able to just follow them around, getting closer and further away with the zoom. It also gives a really nice wide angle perspective, so if you're shooting somewhere that has nice scenery as well, you can have the subject but also capture maybe a really grand tree around you or a nice architectural building. So this is really nice to be able to have the flexibility of being in close but then also backing away to catch the beauty that's around us as well. So this is number 3 of the lenses in my kit. So I always carry at least 3 batteries on me, and you want to make sure that before you leave the house you double and triple check that you've got your batteries on you, that they've been charged, they're completely full and ready to go. You don't want to run into a situation where you are shooting and then all of a sudden you get the dreaded blinking battery in the corner letting you know your battery's about to die, and then you freak. So always leave the house with extra batteries. That is super, super important. And in addition to having extra batteries, you also want to have extra memory cards. You don't want your memory card to fail. You also don't want to run out of space. So I always carry at least 1 or 2 extra memory cards as well. And that fits nicely here in my bag. Location here. Time for a shoot. Woo! I have arrived on location, and I'm gonna go through some things that I like to do out and about. One other thing that I cannot survive without, in addition to all of my lenses and my camera down here,
water. Don't go anywhere without water. You're gonna want to drink a lot of water while you're shooting, especially in hot summers in Florida. So I just had to tag my water bottle in it a little bit, let you know. Stay hydrated. I've got an assortment of things here and we're gonna play with them a little bit. As I told you earlier, this is my absolute favorite lens. I have my 85 on right now, and that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to show you a few settings of what I'm probably going to do outdoors here, and you can take a little look on the back of my camera again and see what I'm doing. All right, let's see what the light looks like. So you're going to do things outdoors a little bit differently than you do indoors, actually a lot of it differently. But the main thing is that you're going to have to do a light test when you first come outside. You have no idea what any of the settings are going to be right off the top of your head, but I want to get a really nice bokeh. So I'm going to set it pretty low, right about there, and let's see what that does. So then we take a light test. All right, and as you can see, that's my result right now. It's a little bit bright for me, so I am going to dim it down a little bit. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to drop down my ISO a little bit, and that's going to let less light in, which is going to make my picture a little bit darker. So we're gonna do another light test. And that's pretty much exactly what I want. And as you can see, everything back here is completely blurred out, which is perfect for what I'm going for. My subject would be right here and they would be in focus, and then my background would be nice and blurred. So actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up a prop to show you that's gonna be in focus, and then the background's gonna be blurred out. Super fun perspective down here. It's not exactly the most comfortable position to be in here, but at the same time, it's just really nice to be able to have a fun low angle for a completely different perspective. That was me up higher, and then that's when I went down a little bit lower. So you can see how your positioning changes the perspective of the image as well. Okay, cool. So that came out exactly how I wanted it to. It is the perfect lighting. My water bottle here is in focus, and everything else back here has a nice bokeh blur to it. And as you can see, my ISO was set to 640, and I did that just from experience of knowing what your light is around you and being able to basically make a hypothesis of what does my setting need to be, and that's something that you'll learn with time. So the last lens that we're going to play with out here is the zoom that I discussed earlier, and we're going to get some really cool effects, especially on this boardwalk, of being able to get a nice wide angle shot too. And I'll show you what happens with that. Lens, back pocket, water bottle, subject. All right, so now that I have my zoom lens on, I'm really gonna have to change my settings quite a bit, because when I have a very wide angle lens on, it's letting less light in. So really what you need to do is adjust your settings so you let more light into the camera, which I'm gonna raise my ISO up to about 1000 on this one, and we'll see what happens. That turned out exactly how I wanted it on that one. And we've got the entire perspective of the boardwalk, which is really cool. And it ended up that I raised my ISO all the way up to 2500, which is letting a lot of light in. But as it gets darker out here on the boardwalk, that's what you're gonna have to do. I love nature, I swear. So this is a fun little add-on that we can do. And what I like to do is hold it up to my lens like this. And how I had shown before how things in the background get blurred out, you can also blur out things in the foreground. So if we wanted to shoot through this, then you're just gonna focus on something in your distance, but hold this just right. And it gives a nice little vignette around the outside of greenery, just for a little fun. I'm gonna put it on the other side here. Yeah, and you can really see it in this one, how the entire outside is green right there. That's from just the little blur of this leaf right here. So that's a fun little tidbit trick if you're kind of in a boring environment and want to add something artistic, is just throw a little plant in your lens. Make it happen. It's gorgeous out here, am I right? We finished the shoot. We had some fun, we got some great pictures. Sometimes, photographer, she just needs to let loose. Here we go.